welcome Marcin from Group Eurozet.
Hi guys, I really appreciate, although to be absolutely frank, I really regret not being able to hear Alexandra from ZPR Media in the breakout room talking about other AI tools from ZPR. And by the way, I truly believe that my avatar would do a better job actually to deliver the speech. But for the time being, at least next 2 years or something, we will be giving those presentations in person. So let me be very quick. It's about AI, monetization, and the things that traditional newsroom is doing with AI. Based on our experience, I work for Eurozet, which is part of Agora media group. We've got like around 9 radio stations, including big ones like Radio Z, but also an interesting case of Tok FM, which is news and talk format. They're just talking all day long. And I will tell you also a case how to monetize podcasts, because we got like 55,000 people paying to access podcasting these days, and eventually delivering as much money as 2.5 million people watching our display advertising. So you can weight this, right? 2.5 million contributing, watching advertising, as much as 55,000 people who are saying, okay, look, we are contributing to your mission and we are just listening carefully your quality audio editorial job. Okay, so the Tok FM, just to begin with, went through a couple of changes over the last year. I said like 5 times new editor-in-chief, new visual identification, new website, new app, and new policy. For those of you who are not very much familiar what's going on here in Poland, liberal media would have said that 2 years ago after the elections, the liberal side took over the power, and all of a sudden, the following day, the listenership of this news and talk format went down a bit because people who were mobilized actually to hear this liberal opposition-like story just said, okay, we won. It's not really actually the case to follow up what's going on with politicians, so maybe it's not worth it actually to spend so much time following the news. And actually, we had to adjust the strategy, knowing that for some reason, people are just overwhelmed with political stories, talking about the fight between opposition and leading party, with all the mess that's going on in the world. Therefore, we have developed the new slogan for Radio Tok FM, which is on every topic from every corner. Just to kind of communicate to the listenership that this brand has got much more than just talking about political issues. So we are just getting to the newsroom, people who are just contributing with opinion section about every single aspect of our life. So the lesson actually here to be taken is that reconsider what kind of value are you producing and what kind of format are you fully about against what's really is on the other side, on the new listeners' needs side, because we did this job. We asked those people and they said, okay, we are fed up with the news itself. We want knowledge, okay? So we have created new website. This is Tok FM, tokfm.pl. You may check this out. Plenty of audio context that is available in whatever the format. As you see here, to read, to listen, to watch, to share. So it's an important element of value proposition is actually, okay, you may consume, acquire this knowledge, whatever the format is, but our goal is actually to take an action, either to share, either to comment, either to let you know what's going on. Like we do have plenty of polls talking on air that our subscribers thinking in 62% that the Prime Minister should step down, or the other way around. So we are also treating our listenership, readership, as a kind of community that has a voice. So in the AI era, it's important in particular actually to create like conversational content that you are able to get an essence from, but also to reply. And that's the story of Tok FM. About the numbers, the listenership of this news and talk format is around 7 million people. Online, we've got last month 2.3 million people, but out of this, we've got around 55,000 people who are using our app, and they are able actually to hear whatever being said on the air plus more. So we've got like original content that is created only for paid subscribers, but they got like everything that's been broadcasted whenever they want. So the promise is, okay, you don't need to listen to the morning show. You may listen to fragment of the morning show, the conversation with somebody that is appealing to you whenever you wish, and also create your playlist. So you may, in fact, create your own radio station, your own news and talk radio station to hear whenever you wish, like driving your car, going to work. You've got like 20 minutes or something. And by the way, you are kind of an editor-in-chief because sitting and driving a car, you hear from your playlist some discussion about the topic, but if you are not very into this, you may skip this. In linear media, it's impossible, whereas the application delivers this promise. So another takeaway point is to create the product that delivers the value on both sides. On one hand, that's a unique knowledge, useful knowledge, unique, original, hard to be found elsewhere, not created by AI yet. On the other hand, the usefulness should be provided also just kind of features that are useful for your individual way of media consumption. So if you wish, just download the app, Tok FM app from App Store and check this out. Obviously, this is work in progress. We are trying to make it better and better, but still, our way is actually to create a critical mass of content that is useful on topic that you hardly imagine to be found on YouTube, for example, and consume whenever you wish. Speaking about AI, what we are using, in particular in this case, radio Tok FM, is to obviously transcribe what's being said on the air into text format. And we are using plenty of technologies. We are using Zephyr or Z News, or the others like Newton Media. And the trick is actually to train this model, actually not to make many mistakes with transcribing, in particular, facts like surnames and like shortcuts. Because the problem with AI is that in most cases, this transcription is right. But in our case, we just need to be 100% sure that this politician on air said precisely what's been transcribed. Therefore, we've got like human in the loop who is looking in the studio what's going on, like real translation, real transcription from the air, checking out if it's okay, plus what kind of a quotations might be interesting for other sources, like here, take this part of this interview and work on this in the newsroom because it's story by itself. So multi-formatting means that we've got like audio interview plus the description of the interview, but out of this interview, we've got plenty of articles on several topics and social media posts. And AI helps a lot, otherwise we weren't going to make this at this scale because the scale is pretty huge. Just to give you a precise number, we are producing in this little radio 19 hours of quality audio journalism a day because it's been broadcasting online and FM 24/7. We've got plenty of programs, but the trick is how to put this into pieces and how to create out of this sort of a podcast and provide this into our app. Plus, another good takeaway is how to use this unique content, usually paid content, also in a form of freemium, meaning, all right, we are able, like, first 3 minutes to use on Spotify, and we are publishing a lot of things on Spotify, but just adding up the post roll, saying, okay, if you want to hear full story, just subscribe, just to acquire traffic into our traffic source. Same story with YouTube, and to conclude, YouTube is a big stuff. Probably you know it already. Yesterday, it's been a party here in Warsaw, and I just saw that 66% of people just consuming podcasts on YouTube. It's crazy. And Spotify is like 30-something. So YouTube is definitely the place to be with podcasting. With paid podcasting is the question, big question mark, how to use YouTube to acquire this audience, to be present, to be visible on the mobile phone, whatever or smart TV, and be discoverable for the content that is interesting in exclusive news. So again, here it's mostly transcription plus correction plus quality check plus atomization of content. So we've got like long format of half an hour interview, and LLMs do provide the draft how to put this into top 5 points, or how to shorten this interview into some, digestible form of editorial piece. Yet still, at the end, there's journalism in the place, like human in the loop, like real physical person that is checking if it makes sense. I mean, in particular, knowing that at the bottom of this article, there is a journalism name under which this article being published, and the responsibility is his or her, plus editor-in-chief, and the brand responsibility and image is under pressure there. Another use case, how to make money out of podcasting, is to actually make a bundle with traditional subscription. Among group, we've got Gazeta Wyborcza. You may heard of this. Gazeta Wyborcza from Agora has got like more than 300,000 subscriptions of general paper daily. What we have tested already is that if you are able actually to sell a bundle, like a bundle of podcasts plus general news like things to read, all of a sudden you may see that here the curve of retention is flattening. So that's a big part, because nowadays it's all about customer lifetime value, and it's not enough actually to sell a subscription. The trick part is how to retain subscribers. So here is definitely the case that if you're adding on audio content that can be provided also by AI, like in the written of narrated articles, it usually expands the time spent within the product, that creates a habit and creates a higher rate of retention. So Bundling is a great form, in particular bundling with audio content, because people with audio are tend to be less distracted and consume more. Another thing that's good to hear here for those who are running subscription models is about package. One is the bundle, the other is what we are selling. If we are selling just monthly subscriptions, which is great because the entry barrier is lower, we are doing a lot actually to find among those people who have started subscription early on, and we see that some people are just getting the concept. They are consuming a lot of content, so they are getting a lot of value from subscription. And after first 2 weeks, we are trying to upsell this monthly subscription into annual subscription as fast as possible, for the very reason that is visible here on the screen, benchmark ratios taken from Piano, having access to plenty of data. And as you see, it's really worth it actually to get this subscriber to be paying for a year in advance, because it gives us a chance actually to do the proper onboarding in comparison to this ongoing fight for recurring monthly subscription payments. By the way, another success factor, and here is an AI element in it, you may now upload, as you probably already doing, to LLMs plenty of data, like spreadsheet or CVS database with your subscription base, and whatever the form of the data, and ask the LLM, do you see any peculiar patterns that can help us win out a better resource? And one of these is the case with pricing. Well, it's first of all good to hear from the users what do they feel about the product. And for example, in this qualitative service, you may ask, like, get an interview with your customers. Like, imagine you are talking with 20 people, recording this talk. It's very easy these days, actually, with Descript, for example, to transcribe this interview, this qualitative individual interview or focus group, and check with LLMs what kind of matching data points, what kind of topics, what the biggest pain points, and what's the logic out of those, those discussions. It's even better if you are doing research with quantitative data, because at the end, for example, you are asking open question, and you may have like 5,000, or in our case, 1,000 suggestions from our user base. What can we do a little bit better? And it's very difficult actually to create logic out of this input, yet still, if you're using LLMs, it's easy actually to very quickly analyze and get the knowledge. Speaking of research, important point is pricing. As you see in this section, the trick with subscription is actually how to increase prices. And fortunately for us, as customers, we see this ourselves, prices are getting up. So just find a way to annually increase your pricing, add value to your product, but the question mark here is, what is the best price? And in some cases, you may have dynamic pricing, but it's good to have like a survey of price elasticity to know exactly which price point is too much and be just before this pricing. So we are using this technology also to analyze the data and to make some hypotheses to be educated, guessing what kind of price points should be there. Plus, in addition, we are brainstorming a lot with AI in product section. So for example, we are just putting into a model question mark, look, just imagine that you're a product site and here are the data about the subscription of Tok FM. What would happen if we're gonna put another like package to our subscription base, like ad supported? So make some calculations. What should be the pricing if people would have an option, either full price paying for ads-free package or get a cheaper version, and how much cheaper to have ad-supported package with just a little bit of advertising. And you know, with AI, we are able to make wonderful stuff. So we are kind of inspired by this graph. But by the way, you may also ask LLMs to do the research, check all those data available from PwC, whatever the sources, and ingest us with some ideas. What are our options? Another application is actually to expand on advertising money. And I will elaborate a bit about programmatic audio for a sec, just to introduce you to the concept. It's important because if you see the data here from Statista, the perception of 2025 is that, well, in audio, this is our case, but it might be the case in the media anyway, there are much more like money in the digital, whereas the competition is fierce than the subscription business. Obviously, the best way is actually to have both legs equal, like Tok FM, but definitely my suggestion is actually to be optimized on both sides, advertising and subscription-based. By the way, my guess is actually to have also a third leg, which is digital services. So the question mark is, what am I able to do based on my core capabilities actually to create a service that can be paid either by the end user or somebody to fund this service. For the radio, for example, I might be quite old for you. Most of you do work in digital native media, but radio is very specific business. And as you see, this blue bar is shrinking a bit. So for the radio, prospectively, knowing what's going on with Spotify, YouTube, whatever the source of the audio content is, was pretty critical actually to have this digital leg. As you see, it's also the driver of the growth. The growth would not be there without a digital leg. Equally, we have traditional newspaper business. Those data are from France, but Poland is pretty comparable, yet 4 times smaller. Then, another advantage of being in FM broadcast business and in digital audio business is that the patterns of those media consumptions are kind of supporting each other. As you see in the radio, the morning show is the tipping point of the listenership, but in the evening we are just shifting to another platforms. So for the brands like ours, we've got the biggest brand from our portfolio is Eurozet, the second biggest radio station here in Poland. 20-something million people listening. So it's important to be also on YouTube, for example. I will cover this later on. And the reason why we are doing this is actually, well, pure logic. We are checking Edison research, which is great research about audio. This research lasts like more than 2 decades. So you may see the progress and the trends, and we see very clearly here as those colors representing like different age groups, that for young people, young meaning 34 or something, so probably most of you are in this segment. The primary source in the mobile, like commuting, driving a car, is equally like in the States. The primary source of audio is digital these days, not necessarily the FM. So as FM business, we see this trend. So the question is how to be present there and how to remain relevant, not only competing with FM itself, but, well, podcasting and music streaming, whatever the source of the sound in the car is, we should be there and being able to deliver, preferably already using content that is already created and paid by traditional business model of broadcasting. Another thing why it's important, and it's really good to keep an eye on those trends, here is the notion of attention economy. As you see, FM radio is still pretty huge, at least when it comes to the way radio is tracked, but podcasts are getting up, and probably surely podcasts might be a better way how to advertise your product than just to use your linear TV, because people are shifting attention into podcasts and digital formats. Here, the very young audience here, 18 up to 34 years old, nearly equal audience in terms of attention to linear TV. But the problem here with money, because obviously most money goes to TV, yet still, or YouTube, is that with podcasting, we had some problems actually to deliver like at scale targeted campaigns that are able to support this business, like mass market campaigns to say to whom exactly am I communicating my content, and what if I wish to, here in Poland, reach 1 million people daily. So first, our approach was the following. First, we need to create the offering. So we just checked what's needed in the podcast like form, like true crime, like history, like interviews, whatever. In all countries, Spotify, by the way, publishes top listened genres. So we just decided to be present in every category, just to create the catalog. We've got like more than 200 different podcast formats, and by the way, some of them not very successful, few of them very successful, but it's good to have like a critical mass to be able to provide something to everybody, in particular if you have in your portfolio like mass market brand. We are producing also quite a lot with a little bit help of AI, weekly 90 new episodes, and by the way, most of them goes to YouTube these days. So the video form is a primary source how we are producing podcasting, out of which we are just putting stuff on Spotify, usually in premium format in just fraction of that. So the host of the most popular program is saying, look, we've got like fragment that is free, and now we are shifting it into premium section. So if you wish to hear full episode, to just go to the source of this. And by the way, we are also doing this with on-air broadcasting. For example, every morning at 8 o'clock, we've got like the discussion of the day, and we had like Polish president like a couple of days ago, top politicians, and there's very like 2 million people listening. And this conversation takes like 6 minutes max, but it's much longer. It's like half an hour long. But vast majority of this is provided on YouTube live. But if you wish to hear it in a format of not live but on demand, you just need to pay. And this is what our offering is. And how about numbers? Just to give you a glimpse about the scale. Group Eurozet, I'm running the business. I'm responsible for editorial, product, sales, and technology. So basically, it's basically the business itself. Reaching on average this year monthly around 10 million people, which is quite a lot. Second biggest group RMF, around that number. And time is also very good. Actually, bigger that those numbers are related to web pages. But for example, time is great on YouTube. But the scale is the following: on my web products, my web services, I'm getting 10 million people monthly on average. But guess what? And here's like a suggestion to shift your definitions. What number is actually the number? And on one hand, we are very happy to have this reach. On the other hand, guess what? Guess what? 10 million people on the page. I got like 11 web portals. Generates 2.7 million on-screen hours of attention. Yet, our audio streaming, like radio stations, podcasting, text-to-speech, all the stuff we're doing with YouTube and all the audio we've got, our originals, monthly being listened to by 32.8 million hours. It means that every user, on average, here in Poland, every internet user spends like an hour monthly to consume our content. Comparing with web page, that's like 12 times more. Whereas vast majority of my digital money comes from this attention, this web page attention, because there's already existing ecosystem supporting display, programmatic, and all that stuff that the big brands understands. But here in audio, it's already a massive channel, yet still not very perceived as a lucrative for advertising industry. So keep in mind what number are you really tracking, and time is usually the good metric, because in particular here, if somebody invests attention to your product, in most cases, excluding multi-screening, the competition do not have an access to his attention there. So that's an important metric. Then, how to make money out of such a massive number of attention, 32 million hours? Well, just follow the proven business models of display advertising, programmatic audio. I'm just going to introduce you to this concept for those who are not very familiar with. Well, if you see, there's no better moment to be in this audio business, because there are plenty of attention, plenty of people, and people hearing about products also within podcasting. Usually, they are more likely to buy or to create opinion than just see those banners popping up on the page. And programmatic audio basically works the following way. Obviously, we are able to pre-roll advertising before the person starts listening, which is fine. But then there's like a couple of hours long session of listening to the radio, of 2 hours long session of listening to the podcast. And YouTube is capable to do this with AdSense, but hearing radio station online these days, you're going to be hearing advertising blocks, equally like you're hearing this on FM, listening to the radio, but those advertisements are going to be dynamically adjusted to what kind of segments are you in, and each person will hear another set of advertisers. So basically, it works same way as programmatic audio, and that gives a tremendous opportunity actually for business like ours, because we may say, okay, great brand, you may advertise and you may reach like young women in large cities, and if you wish to create a massive scale, like reach 1 million within a day, it's impossible to be done like traditionally, actually just to promote through podcasting, but in dynamic format, we are just able to put those advertising within vast number of podcasting, despite of gender, genre or topic, because what matters is our perception, what kind of listener is behind the speaker. So, programmatic audio being not able to be provided without technology like AI, because in the background, AI or machine learning, there's like models that are capable to figure out what kind of user are you. And usually it's not a trivial work, because most of cookies we are using, the dump without reasonable knowledge due to a variety of reasons. Therefore, an important element on our ecosystem is actually how to augment the knowledge about the user. If we don't have the data within the cookie, we are just trying to anticipate what's going on. Okay, we don't know who this person is, but we know that the profile of the listener of this radio is usually the guy who is in big city having a big car. And if the guy is listening the section that is about like multi segment, we are just attributing to this cookie, okay, this man might be interesting in multi-segment, and it gives us an opportunity actually to provide more out of ocean of content. Because imagine if I got like 19 hours of audio on every topic, every angle. The trick is actually how to put from this ocean of content the very precise 4 pieces of content, 4 pieces of podcasts that for this person would be relevant. That works for content recommendation system and for the advertising. And with this programmatic audio, it became like a crucial. Another case, very well-known with Polish roots, unicorn company, 11 Labs. We are working with them to clone our radio news anchors. And we talked with those very famous journalists. Basically, those 2 were the very first 2 journalists that have agreed actually to be cloned. And we said, okay, we're going to create like an artificial synthetic version of your voice, and the promise is on the right side hand that each article on Radio ZPL, the user might hear to be read by your voices. And those people are like working on the air in massive radio stations for years, like decades, and people do hear the news plenty of times daily in this format. So now this narrative can be replaced at scale also with this text-to-speech engine. And it proved actually to create a value. Just check this out. We have started this pretty recently, like at the beginning of this year, and the traction is here. Like the more and more people are just clicking through, like around 7% of total reach is picking this form of content consumption. And for us, it's very critical, because we are not like traditional news horizontal portal. We do have 10 million people on the page, but our true reason is actually to get this reach to convert those people into audible readers, because our core business is with programmatic audio. So we are just checking if we are able to acquire people who are consuming media, not only reading, but also hearing. So text-to-speech helps a lot. And here are some elements and the tools. You may probably know most of them, but well, speaking of audio, digital audio formats, those tools are really, really amazing. And probably we're just at the very beginning of this total revolution. Nowadays, you are able to obviously generate automated podcasts that is covering whatever topic for you is important. You know what Notebook LM is capable to be doing, And well, yes, those tools are very useful. And by the way, it's not only for big companies with big budget, tech budget. Those tools are as expensive as $30 a month. It's really affordable these days. And big questions behind AI, obviously, like from my side, radio side. Well, should we have a chart with best songs, allowing people who are producing, synthetic AI-created songs to be competing with human singers? Well, that's a big question mark. It's like with Formula F1. Should they be allowing actually to race with electrics at the same time? Maybe with all that technology, content creation became too easy. Another question about podcasting. I had this question back in mind when I had first time this podcast episode created by Notebook LM as a very natural way of discussing synthetic voices, discussing about the topic. I thought it's an end of podcasting because the next day somebody would flood Spotify with synthetic podcasting on every topic. So I'm producing big company, producing 19 episodes weekly, but with synthetic technology like a computer for $2,000 plus $30 of technology, and you are able to produce 90 episodes a day. How are we going to compete with this? So those questions are big ones. Yet still, fortunately, Armageddon hasn't kicked in yet. At some point, probably the audience do distinguish the value of personalities and humans, where there's also some space for well-crafted synthetic podcasting that solves some problem, real problem, that can be effectively solved by any other business model. Another case from Eurozet here. We are producing like 7,000 articles monthly. And it's been really a challenge actually to introduce AI tools to my editorial room. Very early response was the following. Look, Marcin, great tool, ChatGPT rocks, but I will be correcting this article longer than it takes me to read it or to write it. Okay, so I said, okay, I will try harder. Maybe writing an article isn't the way actually that helps a lot the journalists. So we have created internally AI assistant that assists with pain points on the workflow to publish. So the time to publish from the very well topic idealization up to the moment of publishing article, there are plenty of stuff that has to be done, including SEO stuff, CMS interactions, tax data stuff. So we just checked what takes a lot of time and what can be done with this AI assistant tool as a kind of a support, like suggestion. And all of a sudden, my colleagues started to be using those presets. Okay, just check the grammar, just do the quality check, just create like a summary, and that became pretty effective, nice and quality, time-saving initiatives. And these days, after like 10 months, nearly 40% of articles being created with a little help of LLMs on every level, which means also that 60%, but well, majority of articles, journalists are doing all the way, which is okay. My job is actually to create an AI assistant that helps and be useful enough actually to convince 80% of journalists actually to use this. On the left-hand side, you are be listed with elements that are very easy actually to be done within Newsroom with LLMs. Probably most of this already tested by you. And well, if it's working perfectly, not yet, but the technology advanced so fast that probably within 1-2 years, those things are going to be really effective. By the way, I'm just responsible to be aware, at least, building the systems I'm creating now, actually how to make those systems ready for another era of journalism, which might be editorial, supervised, orchestrated journalistic agents that are able to, do the research, the pre-work, and do this at scale. So this is probably the era we are heading to. And this is the traction, as I told you before, how the adoption of AI tools, how long took me actually to convince 40% people actually to give it a chance. Well, the story goes like this. It's been not always, by the way, it's very common here to have this uncanny valley. At the very first moment, you see the traction. Okay, that's a hype. That's really cool. But after you see that it's maybe not that cool, you're just kind of confused if it's useful at all. But still, I believe we are getting another traction curve. And my expectation is also that we just gonna have this bump again and the disappointments phase, and then again hype phase and disappointment phase, because this is it's how it works actually. So what's another takeaway for editorial room in the era of AI? Well, this is Eurozet.pl. I got 12 assets, so web page gives me 10 million people, but the biggest one, Eurozet.pl, is around 6.7, which is okay. The problem with web page is that it's getting harder and harder actually to grow with AI overviews and all that stuff going on with Facebook and other sources, and Google Discover that gets more and more advanced, meaning that you may be suggested with content not only from web pages but also from YouTube, Twitter, whatever the source is. So the competition is getting up and up, and our news avoidance might also be in place. Therefore, for me, the channel of web is not the primary one. Just take a look on the right-hand side. My perception, what we are doing in digital is the following. I'm okay with 5 million people on the page. Those data are from last summer. And check this out. On Facebook, I'm able to reach 13 million people. Spotify here, and the mobile app, TikTok news channel, TikTok itself gives me an access to 3.3 million people. And this mass is unreachable actually on the page in vast majority. Plus the player gives me 2.5 people, Instagram, YouTube, all together. This is my capacity and my editorial room, and that's the story of multi-modality, is about to create, within the help of tools like AI, actually effectively, cost-effectively, content to be published on vast variety of channels. We just need to be present wherever our reasonable audience is. And that creates a mass that is as big as 15 million people monthly. Because if you add on to this 10 million people who are on the page, the reach that we are able to gain on TikTok, on YouTube, on Spotify, Facebook, every single channel, including digital audio, the brand reach gets bigger and bigger, and it's as big as half of the reach of our broadcast radio stations. As you see monthly, our 9 FM stations, radio stations. It's got an audience of 25 million people, which is a lot. Online, we are reaching half of this or a little bit more than that. And for the radio, it's crucial because you do remember this curve. FM radio is pretty okay in the morning, but later on, the case is actually how to be around in terms of brand perception and brand awareness and the relationship that the audience has with the brand, multi-channel, and for that reason, we just need to be present there in a cost-effective way, like reusing content, repackaging content, and AI tools do make a difference. Last point is about video. It's been said that probably 82% of all media consumption will be video. We don't really know how fast it's going to happen. We know that vast majority of traffic, internet traffic, is already video. So video is huge, audio is huge. And by the way, 52% will be short form video because we got programmed into the stream that is as fragmented as TikTok streaming, like just swiping, 5 seconds, okay, next, impulse. So, well, it is the reality. Obviously, at the same time, which is a paradox, we've got plenty of people who are able to consume 2 hours long deep conversations. Wow. Well, in traditional media formats, we know that it's really hard actually to produce a format that catches attention for longer than 40 minutes, like around what I'm taking from this stage. But there are like people who are able to invest 2 hours of continuous attention, yet still plenty of people, including us, are just, swiping those short formats like crazy in most cases, my case. So, well, YouTube is the way to be. Those data, last quarter, last year, in the States for the first time, 33%, which is more than Spotify. Yesterday, as I briefly mentioned, I saw the data from Google saying that it's around 60+%. You can imagine how fast it grows these days. So YouTube is definitely the place to be with your podcasting, video casting these days. And well, there are questions if YouTube will kill this atmosphere of podcasting. The people sitting and talking, to each other, and this is very intimate space. So those cameras, everything. So this is another era. So for some cases, it might be a different category, but still, we just can't ignore this change that is happening. Therefore, even radio, these days, radio station, the studio, broadcasting studio, it's like TV studio these days. I got like electronic cameras all around, and we are not doing broadcast radio formats, not any longer. We are just producing video casting live on the air. So this is like mindset shift, What we are doing, we are not basically doing traditional radio. We are just producing and live recording, video casting on the air, right? So Eurozet has got like 691,000 subscribers on YouTube. We built this audience in 2 years. It's not very intuitive, actually, for the radio to be effective on YouTube. Yet still, if you record, the studio, the background, the story behind the brand, it might be interesting also for those who are consuming media in this format. So we are present there, and this is our also very big part of a strategy. Audio-video strategy to be where the audience attention is. And to conclude, Gen Z. Well, that for in particular for legacy brand, there's a big critical problem how to remain relevant for people who are not listening to the paper, not watching the news, not hearing the radio, traditional linear form, or watching TV, yet still in 10 years' time going to represent like a half or 30% of internet traffic. Do we have a product that can be relevant in 5 years' time to the third part of internet traffic? So within an organization like me, we've got like people under 25 years old that are able to tell us what kind of a content, what kind of a format and platform is relevant for young people, and how to tell the story that is relevant for them. And as you see, big brand Eurozet, like second biggest radio station here in Poland, 90-something% of brand recognition, large reach on YouTube, millions of people, still under 24 years old. On the bottom right corner, you see the numbers, is less effective than Tube FM. That is like 5 people who are producing video casting on music and culture on TikTok. You know, that's the trick. You know, 5 people with video casting reaching 4.4 million Gen Z, which is far more than big brand is able or will ever be able to reach. So our guess is actually to test those initiatives to understand better younger audience. And on the final note, the best way how to understand young people is actually to hire them, because I'm like 40 plus, and yeah, is a trick actually to see how many 24 years olds and or less do you have in your newsrooms, in particular in traditional legacy media. It became a crucial ratio. Not only that we are not willing to hire, but those young people are not very likely to work for us. So it's been a challenge already. So on the last note, thank you for this talk. It's got shrinked a bit, but I believe, well, my take on this is actually to remain what's big, which is FM. Okay, my personal take on this is that traditional broadcast radio will be fine up to a point when autonomous cars will hit the road at scale. At that moment, we're all going to be watching YouTube while driving. Before that, still, you know, hearing radio, going to be fine. But digital must be first in terms of reaching out new audience and reaching out to your traditional audience, because those people are also consuming you know, content other places than hearing the radio in the car or at work. Another thing is actually the multi-platform reach, and see this as a total reach, multi-platform reach, and think about paid offering. We've been able, out of 15 million people, convince 55,000 people to be paying for podcasting. That's a niche within a mass scale, but the money that are provided by those subscribers, this is a relevant element of our budgeting. Without this, we wouldn't be able to produce a lot of quality journalism based just purely on advertising. So the conclusion is actually we just must do all of that at once, at scale, start small, use LLMs, and don't be afraid actually to fail at the very beginning. Don't be reluctant actually to use LLMs because they are making errors, because within 3 years those technology will create competition for your media companies that are more capable and more cost efficiently covering the news and secure the needs of the audience all over the world. Thank you very much for this talk, and enjoy the time.
If you have questions as well, that's the moment.
Actually, I have a question in terms of revenue streams, right? So I was wondering, in light also of the European AI Digital Act, isn't there a way to ask for these AI companies, since they train their models also on news content, to regain ownership of the content and make a profit out of it? Ask the companies to pay and give compensation for training their models on that content.
Yeah.
And so using that as a source to diversify news organizations' revenue streams.
Great question. And I'm a part of the people around Agora, large media group here in Poland. And basically, that's a critical question. To be able to change the story and the logic how we see the business model we are in. So traditionally, we've got, like within a company, business lines like paper distribution, advertising, digital, audio, subscription, etc. Probably to remain profitable and being able to serve the mission of supporting democracy with journalism, we just need to reinvent ourselves in a way that there are plenty of new business lines we just need to be supported with. My personal belief is that probably up to 20% of revenue supposed to be provided by big LLMs, either because they're supposed to contribute or they are just paying to acquire human quality content because they need to train those models anyway, and they just eaten everything being published already. So it's not a good form how to train the model, actually to train the model on synthetic content. So those large models gonna be willing to pay for quality content to understand the world better. So imagine 1/5 of your revenue supposed to go from large business models, language models. The question is, do you have people who are capable actually to understand this within your organization, to learn about that? How about the European legislation and local government approach towards this topic? Another thing is, well, ad-supported services, e-commerce, plenty. We just need to find like 5 up to 10 new revenue streams around your core ability to produce value to remain profitable. Because in the future, with AI overviews and chatbots and all the shift that's happening on the page, trust me, either small players, niche companies will be thriving, being able to, at low cost, address niche audiences, or large, the biggest media companies, holdings, international holdings, will be thriving. But middle ones will probably go out of business or be taken over. For middle companies, it's going to be extremely difficult actually to maintain profitability. At one hand, we are able to make things cheaper, meaning like waste less time. But on the other hand, all the advertising money in digital formats is already in platforms. And subscription competition is fierce. So still, the business model you are in has to be reinvented and just challenge yourself. What business am I really in other than the business that is working now?